these books one tends to read, but the impact of that is not by any means long-lasting or permanent. Whereas this is a book which, in my opinion, is of permanent interest. Some of you at least will be able to recall a famous saying of Milton where he said, if he writes it is something, it should be something which posterity will not willingly let die. There's no point in writing a book which nobody else bothers to touch with a pair of tongs 6 months down the line or 1 year down the line. It should be something like a Bhagavata or a Ramayana or maybe a Bible and so on and so forth. Although the Bible cannot be treated as a book in the formal sense of the term. I would say this book, Autobiography of Paramahamsa Yogananda, is a book that posterity will not and should not, gives you a glimpse of the fascinating journey, the virtual rags to riches story in the rarefied realm of the spirit, not merely in the material world. And all of us, when you go through the trials and tribulations of life, there comes a point in your life when you begin to feel that beyond the material and the mundane aspects of life, there is a dimension to life that is worthwhile exploring. At some stage or other, any thinking man will get interested in the looking beyond the mundane and the spiritual, and so on and so forth. And the amazing thing about this book is, it does not advocate, like most Hindu saints don't, he does not advocate adherence to a particular religion. It is absolutely syncretic in its approach. He doesn't want you to be a Hindu, doesn't want you to be a Christian, he doesn't want you to be a Muslim, because spirituality in its finer sense is beyond religion. You can explore your own inner realms without necessarily confining yourself to the religious practices enjoined on you by a particular religion in which, by the accident of birth, you happen to be born. So that's in fact the reason why I think he spent most of his time in the United States and probably did more than even Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Vivekananda did to carry the message of Indian culture. I wouldn't say message of Hinduism, of the Indian religious tradition and religious culture to the West. Paramahamsa Vivekananda, as you probably know, was born in UP, although his mother tongue was Bengali, and his own guru, he had a very, very distinguished lineage. People talk of a mythical, I say mythical because his presence cannot be established or proved, of a mystical figure known as Babaji, living for ages together in the Himalayas, and he had a famous Shishya by name Lahiri Mahasya, and he in turn had a Shishya by name Yukteswar Giri, whose guru, who happened to be Paramahamsa Yogananda's guru. Now, in a short span of 15 or 20 minutes, I cannot possibly read out to you anything from the book because then it will take too much of your time. But what the book really contains is encounters with famous saints like Babaji, Lahiri Mahasya, his own guru, his life with his own guru, how he carried the message to the people in the West and what the response was like and so on and so forth. And then he constantly refers to Christ in his book, which is a measure. He doesn't believe in advocating belief only in the particular religious community in which he was born, namely Hinduism. And he went well beyond that, but still retained the essence of Hinduism. It is not as if he was against Hinduism or any such thing. And so this book, in my opinion, is a must read for everyone. And that's the reason why I took the liberty of telling Mr. Sai that this is a book I would like to talk about. Now, I would also quote from you what a very revered saint in the South, namely the Paramacharya of Kanchi, said about Yogananda. Because he is treated more or less as a God-realized saint. I'm talking about the Paramacharya. Quote for you what he has said about Paramahamsa Yogananda. As a bright light shining in the midst of darkness, so was Yogananda's presence in this world. Such a great soul comes on this earth only rarely when there is a real need among them. No less a person than the Paramacharya of Kanchi, by whom several people hailing not only from Tamil Nadu but elsewhere in the country also swear, is what he has said about him. And interestingly enough, the book contains an account of his encounter with Swamiji, the Kanchi Swamiji. Of course, he has also had the opportunity of interacting with Mahatma Gandhi and with several other saints about which he mentions in detail in this book. I would say that this is a book that not just entertains, it educates, it entertains, it also ultimately elevates you and ennobles you in the sense that if you actually respond to the inner spirit and message of the book, you will find yourself a different